Hey everybody, welcome, welcome. This is day 5. Finally we're on our last day. It seems like it took us forever to get to day 5 because of the holiday weekend, but here we are. And this topic that I want to cover on this last video is about breaking free from the patterns and the behaviors that have been blocking and that do block your own divinity. So before we get into that, before we start jumping in there, I'm going to wait for a few more of you guys to jump on. And I have a couple of announcements to make, and then we're just going to go right into the details of this class. It's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter class because I don't specifically have exercises for you to do today. So let's talk a little bit about this. I don't know if and when I will be doing the 5-day anxiety release challenge again. It's been an absolutely amazing and incredible journey for me to get to travel alongside you guys and assist you in your healing and to teach you some of the tools that have really changed my life and saved my life. And that's been a great blessing to me. But however, it's very time consuming. It takes a lot of effort and energy and time on my part, and the busier that I get in my coaching practice, the more difficult it is for me to be able to deliver this kind of content on this big of a level. And so I just want you to know that what you've been receiving up until the last, we've only done this twice. We've done 2 actual literal 5-day anxiety release challenges, and both of them were just amazing, marvelous experiences. There were some incredible healing experiences that came from both of those journeys, and it's been a delight to get to share this stuff with you guys. However, like I said before, the busier I get, the harder it is for me to deliver this kind of content. So I want you to take full advantage. The videos will be up. They will remain in this group for 24 hours from this point on. So 24 hours from now, all of the videos will be taken down from this private Facebook group. They will remain up on the link. There's a link pinned to the top of this group. If you notice the pinned post, you can click onto that link. It will take you to a Facebook, not a Facebook, but like a web page where you can view and review the 5 videos. I think there's 3 on there currently, and those will be taken down on Sunday of this week. So Sunday at midnight, that will disappear. So just be aware. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do this again for you guys, and I really don't know if I'll be doing it again. So please take advantage of this opportunity. Please take advantage of watching the replays. Please take advantage to take this a step further and you know, maybe even do some coaching with me if that fits into you know, where you see yourself going with your healing journey and these tools. Hey Marlene, I'm so glad that you're joining us. So today I want to just dive into our last and final topic for the week. I feel like this is kind of we're putting up the bookends, like this is kind of the last stone into place. Now, by all means, it is not the last stone in what you can possibly learn about your soul path, your soul's purpose, your higher self. There's so much more that I want to teach you. There's just not time, right? In 5 days. So I tried my best to compile the things that I thought would be of most critical importance and benefit to you guys. And so as far as a bookend goes, then on these last 4 or 5 days, I just want to talk a little bit about breaking free from the patterns and the behaviors and the mindsets and the emotional patterns that tend to block your soul path, that tend to block your nature and your divinity. You know, I get this a lot when I coach with people privately in my coaching practice, and that's that when we get to this specific point, especially when we work on the exercises like we did yesterday, trying to figure out what are you here for? What were you placed on the planet to give? What are your gifts and your talents, and in what way can you serve so that you can benefit humanity? And once we start to identify that, one of the most popular things that happens to people is fear. So fear will move in to begin to block you. In other words, people feel very obligated to remain in what they are familiar with in life. It's difficult to yank them out of the familiar roots, even if those roots aren't serving them very well. People feel, well, I have a responsibility, I have a duty, I have a family to feed, I have financial responsibilities, and so therefore, how in the world can I pull myself out of this situation that seems comfortable to me and move into a totally different direction, if that truly is what your soul is telling you to do? And for some people, they're feeling nudged to go into that direction, but they're so gripped with fear, and they second guess themselves, and they doubt themselves that that they never do it. They never actually end up taking that step until later on in their life. So I would like to preface this lesson with this comment. And the comment is that the only thing that you have to fear, or the only thing that you should be avoiding, really, is the refusal to learn your soul's lessons. That's what you should be avoiding. Because that's your ego stepping in, trying to create resistance, trying to throw up barriers and to prevent you from stepping outside of your comfort zone. The ego, the intellect, your brain, basically, your mind chatter, will always throw up resistance to you connecting with authenticity, with a purer, higher, more elevated state of consciousness, if that's what you want to call it. So the ego is always going to present itself and throw up barriers such as fear or self-doubt or mind chatter that says I'm not good enough, smart enough, rich enough, funny enough, capable enough, I don't have the talents and the abilities, I'm not worthy, who am I to do something as great as that, right? So that's the ego that's doing that. And if you succumb to your ego continually and you back down because there's fear there, what will happen is you will lower your vibration in the world, and you'll lower the vibration in the world. You'll lower yours, and you'll also do the world a disservice. I hope that makes sense. So it doesn't benefit anybody by succumbing to the ego, by backing down to fear, by listening to the mind chatter that's there to throw up blocks and resistance. That doesn't serve anybody. In fact, rejecting your own growth and your own soul's path and your own soul's purpose is only going to make the world sicker, and especially you. It's going to make you sicker. So what will happen when you do that, when you continue to succumb to the fear and the resistance, and you back down and you back down, and you delay and you delay and you put it off, is that the soul will continue to nudge you in the direction that you know you're supposed to be going. It will continue to throw up these lessons, these same scenarios and experiences will continue to pop into your life as a reminder that, hey, this is the direction that you should be going. This is the lesson that you're supposed to be learning. So neglecting your lessons and your soul's path will bring you nothing but misery and heartache and probably sickness, maybe even pain, for sure anxiety and depression. It will bring more misery into your life than it will bring bliss. The ego does not have the capability, your mind self, your brain chatter, the intellectual you does not have the capability of tapping into those things that can bring you the most bliss and joy and fulfillment. That doesn't come through the brain. It comes through a deeper level of you. And you only can access that through higher, more advanced levels of consciousness. And by breaking free from the unhealthy patterns and programming and constructs of the mind, by breaking free from that is how you'll be able to access deeper levels of your own sacred nature, your own divinity. So if you want more fear and pain and sickness and problems and resistance, then go along with what the ego's telling you to do. You have the right to choose, but you just need to understand that that's what you're going to get when you choose to ignore and stifle your true soul's path. And many of you guys got a really great starting glimpse of that yesterday in yesterday's little exercise, the guided imagery that I took you through, where we kind of came to discover what you're here for, what you're here to give, how you're here to serve, and what your true path is, what your true purpose is. A lot of you guys were in tune with that when you were really little, but you just didn't know it at the time. And some of you have felt these little nudges and these promptings and these urges. You've noticed them throughout your life, but no one has ever really taught you how to pay attention to that stuff and do anything of good with it. So as a result, we succumb to the fear. Another little side note about fear, okay, just so before we move on, is that fear is not just an obstacle that's going to get in your way, but fear is a mile marker. It's a milepost showing you that, wow, something amazing is on the other side of this fear that you're feeling. Now, aside from being chased by a bear or being in a life or death threatening situation, that's a different kind of fear. That's more of a survival type fear. I'm talking fearing the process of moving forward in a specific direction. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean it's the wrong way for you to go. Doesn't mean that you should back down and go follow the path of least resistance. It doesn't always mean that. In many cases, the fear is the threshold. The fear will always lie at the threshold of very pivotal mile markers in your life. Anything that you've ever done in your life that was good and worthy and worthwhile and powerful and amazing, that tapped you into your own unique amazingness, there was probably a little bit of fear at the threshold of that. And so my recommendation to you is that when you do feel fear in your life, fear to make changes, fear to step forward, fear to go into the unknown, when you do feel that little bit of fear, get excited. Get excited, because that fear is showing you that you're probably on the right path and something good is on its way. Something good is on the other side of that doorway or that threshold where fear stands to block you. So just some food for thought on this. Now, when you do this, when you are ready and you're willing to accept your soul's higher path and what you were placed here to give, what you were placed here to have or be or do, when you do this, you will be aligning your soul with a higher state of consciousness. Many people believe that that's God. You're aligning with the mind and will of God, because here's how I look at it. I do believe that my higher mind and my higher consciousness and my deeper will on a high self, my higher self level, I do believe that part of me is already perfectly and completely and totally aligned with the mind and will of God. So do you want to know what the mind and will of God is? Tap into your own. They're one and the same. What you want for your highest good on that true, authentic level, like the noblest, deepest, most righteous desires of your heart, those things that you desire for yourself in your life, those are also things that God desires for you. They're one and the same. So if you want to know what God's will is for you, figure out what your will is for you. And that you can't figure that out by logically thinking through it in the mind. It's got to be done by tapping into the deeper levels of you and going in there and doing your own inner work. When you're willing to do that, when you're willing to, number one, discover who you are and where you came from. Number two, discover what your path is and what your purpose is and what you came here to do and give and have. And then number three, you're willing to boldly and fearlessly move in that direction. What will happen is the byproduct will always be bliss and higher, deeper, more fulfilling, more lasting levels of joy in your life. That's what the byproduct will always be. It's not going to produce this superficial happiness, that comes from the surface. That, how when you try to place happiness and gratification and satisfaction on material things, and nothing can ever quench the thirst. You try to accumulate and acquire material things, but it's never enough. Have you noticed that? Like, it's not satisfying. It maybe is satisfying temporarily on a superficial level, but nothing ever really satisfied you on a deep core level. And so you got to go back and you got to get more and you got to get more. And it becomes this addiction. So if you're addicted to material things to make you feel better, you're never going to feel better. You're never going to quench that desire and that need for happiness and fulfillment and bliss and gratitude, because it can't come from those places. It has to come from deep within. It has to come from those yearnings and the stirrings deep within your soul on a soul level. And, most of us, well, all of us really, we all come here with this deep yearning desire to contribute to the planet. And if we're not given the opportunity, or we don't see the opportunity or take the opportunity to contribute in some way to benefit mankind or humanity, we feel very empty. We begin to feel lost, empty, alone. Sometimes people will have a hopeless feeling. They'll have a worthless feeling, like they won't be able to connect with their self-confidence very well. They won't have that. We've talked about this in past videos, so I don't want to go too much deeper into it, but I remember telling you guys that I had a client come to me one time who said those very words to me. I feel lost. I feel empty. I feel alone. I feel betrayed by God. I feel listless. I feel as if I have no direction that I can go, and I don't know who I am anymore, and I don't even know if my soul path is there for me anymore. And the farther away that you wander from who you really are and what you came here to do, the more you're going to have those feelings. And that's a pretty good indicator that you've fallen off of that path just a little bit, and it's a reminder for you to jump back on. So, the indicator that you are on your soul's path is that you will have lasting happiness, lasting bliss, substantial joy that quenches that thirst, that need to feel a sense of gratification and satisfaction. You're not going to get it from the mall, and you're not going to get it from government officials. You're not going to get it from doctors. You're not going to even get it from, spiritual leaders, unless those spiritual leaders are directing you to go inside and connect with your higher self and also your source, whoever that is for you. And most people that participate in this group are God-fearing, God-believing, God-following people. And so that is your source. And one of the best ways to connect with God is to connect with your highest, most authentic self, because they are one and the same. They're on the same path, same mission, same will, same focus. They're one. So anyway, back to this suffering. If you want to free yourself from suffering and misery and pain and that listless, lost helpless, hopeless feeling, discover what your soul path is, jump on it, and fearlessly go in the direction of providing to the world what you came here to give, and contribute. Here's another interesting pattern that I've noticed over the years too, is that often people who come to me who have been through very extreme, severe trauma, really difficult life experiences there's been a lot of learning in these life experiences. However, the experiences have been very painful to the people. And so as these people begin to clean up the pains of the past and begin to heal those pains of the past, they start to discover that that's what they're also here to give. They're also here to give healing as a service to the world around them. So they can recognize that same pain in others. They can look at others and say, oh my goodness, you're suffering. I've been where you are. I recognize that pain. Let me take you by the hand. Let me show you what worked for me. Let me show you where healing lives. And then that becomes a very meaningful experience for them in their lives, instead of this horrible, tragic trauma that only scars them for life. So chances are your greatest challenges and your greatest struggles that you've ever been through, ever before, in the history of you living on this planet, your greatest challenges and your greatest trials and your greatest suffering has been your greatest teacher. And as a result of that, it's also leading you in the direction of what you're also here to give. How can you now serve and benefit humanity because of what you've learned and because of what you've come through? Your higher self, your inner self, wants to expand out into the world. It wants to give light. It wants to shed light. It wants to be expansive. It doesn't want to retract. And so when you learn how to expand that part of yourself out and overcome the limitations and overcome the resistance and the limiting beliefs and the limiting fears and overcoming those things, you then get to bring healing into the world. So now I want to talk a little bit about where are we going to go from here. So this message today is pretty much about overcoming and breaking free from unhealthy patterns and programming and those limitations and those barriers that really do get in your way of moving forward and stepping out into that path and taking full advantage of what's here for you, what you've come here to actually do. So I've compiled a list of 4 different things that you can do to be proactive at breaking free from these limiting patterns of behavior and mindset and the ego self that really blocks your divinity. So number 1, what can we do? Number 1, we must know our true self. You must know your true self in all ways. And if you'll notice over the course of your life, every painful relationship, every painful experience that you've ever been in and experienced has been an opportunity, I guess. An opportunity for you to come to know yourself in all ways, to be pushed to the outer limits of who you really are and what you're really capable of and what you're here to give. So your suffering is not done to you all in vain. There is tremendous learning in all suffering, and as a result of that learning, we can turn that around pretty easily, especially if you're willing to open up and expand your awareness to who you really are and what you came here to do, and get on with doing that. And don't waste any more time, but fearlessly and boldly move forward in the direction of who you are and what you're here for. So that's number 1, is we must come to know ourselves in all ways. You know, it's interesting, I think that most painful relationships too are relationships that are nudging us in the direction of coming to know what love is on all levels. All levels. It's pushing us to the outer limits, the outer edges of what love is and what love can do. Our culture pretty much globally now, our culture teaches that love is something that you should go out and seek for, and that somebody's going to gift that to you, and that you have to find the perfect person, and you have to be compatible, and your personalities have to match in order for them to be able to give you those good feelings, right? It's not true. That is not true. I vehemently disagree and do not buy into that cultural programming. If you watch most movies, you know, the quest is for the one person is going out and they're seeking for true love, and they find their perfect partner or their perfect companion, and they overcome the challenges, and they finally get to be together. And it's almost like we're being taught that that other person is there for the purpose of gifting you good feelings. And if they can gift you those good feelings, then you will love them. But when they can no longer give you those good feelings about yourself, then you have to hate them. That's when divorce comes in, and we throw away our families, and we throw away our relationships, and we throw away the opportunity to transcend the pain, the lesson, and turn it into love. Now, I'm not saying that all people who go through divorces made a horrible, bad mistake. I'm not saying that at all. Because everybody has to choose for themselves what direction they feel divinely inspired to go down. And that, I have no control over any of that. What I am saying is that sometimes we look for love in other people, and it's not other people's job to gift you love. It's not your parents' job. It's not your spouse's job. It's not your children's job to gift you those feelings. That's your job. You are responsible for your own feelings. Your job is to find that love within yourself. And, you know, in very, very healthy relationships, two people actually do that. They find the love within themselves, and then they just share the best part of themselves with their partner. And at that point, there's no need to put up walls or barriers to protect or defend yourself. You just surrender to the other person. You're completely and totally vulnerable, and you surrender. And guess what the byproduct of that is? It's ecstasy. Ecstasy is not about sexuality. I guess it could be, but it's not only about that. Ecstasy is the highest level of love that two people in love can feel. And it's not that they're giving each other, that they owe each other these good feelings. It's that they've recognized and learned how to find those good feelings in their own selves, and then share the highest part of themselves with the other person through surrender, through vulnerability, through giving of themselves. And you know, sometimes it takes, in order to get to that point in life, it takes being pushed to the outer limits of what love really is. And most often, that comes in the form of relationships that can be very painful. It's very extremely rare for people who are in painful relationships to transcend that, return the relationship back to a true exchange of what love really is, which is sharing the best part of ourselves and healing ourselves first. If a relationship can heal that and transcend it and return it to love, then that's a very elevated relationship. More often than not, people end up stepping outside of the relationship, and they go looking for the higher lesson through somebody else. But until you can understand that the love comes from your source through you, the feelings are yours, nobody owes you those feelings, you're going to continue to repeat the same unhealthy patterns in all your relationships. So step number one is we must know ourselves in all ways, and we must come to know what love is on all levels. Number two, we must, if we're going to break free from these unhealthy patterns that restrict and limit our divinity, we must break free from thought patterns and emotional patterns and belief patterns that have been programmed into us, that aren't serving us, that are not healthy, that are creating the resistance. Usually that stuff comes from the mind, out of the ego. And we must break free from that and return to our soul's sacred self once again. So that's step two. Step number three, the way that we do this is by removing these energetic blockages, this stuck energy, so to speak. So beliefs, thoughts, emotional programming, and patterns, the way that we have been conditioned or trained to respond to life, that's just energy that is stored within our bodies. It doesn't have to mean that we're permanently damaged that way because we've been programmed. What it means is we're storing information inside of our bodies. We can go find that information, clear it, eject it, release it, and then transform it. One of the things that I learned when I first got my healing practitioner's license as a quantum energy transformation practitioner is that it's all about transforming the energy into what it once was, from what it once was into what it can be. And we can do that on the level of beliefs, thoughts, attitudes, memories, and stored emotions in our bodies. We can do that on all levels because it's all just energy. So transforming the energy is the way that you remove these blockages that are hindering your progress and that are standing in your way of your soul's highest growth. Let's see. We must do this by removing that's number 3, blocked, stuck, heavy, dark, or sick energy from our spirit body first. We've got to transform it. We've got to change it, change the vibration of it. And then the last step is step number 4. We must come to understand how we are governed by divine law. So everything that happens to your life happens to you according to divine law. It's not happening by chance. Nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens by mistake. Everything happens on purpose according to divine law, based on where you choose to put your thought and your focus and your attentions and where you hold your beliefs. So we can manipulate those things and change those things pretty simply, pretty easily, by learning to understand what are the divine laws that govern this stuff. So what I want to present to you guys, offer up to you guys today at the end of this, our last meeting together, is I have put together a tremendous opportunity for you guys to get to take advantage of. I'm not going to go much into that here, but if you click over into, let me give you the website, and I'll also post it in here as well. The website that you can go to is Janet Thurgood, so JanetThurgood, janetthurgood.com/learn. I've compiled a system. It's a process. It's an online home study course for you guys so that you can begin to take this a step farther, so that you can learn how to clear and release these stuck, unhealthy, sickly energies out of your body and begin to take full advantage of other more powerful laws. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of different laws of the universe that you can come to understand, and the more that you understand these laws, the more powerful you become. So it causes you to be able to be intentional in your life, to create the things that you truly desire on purpose instead of by accident creating the stuff that you don't want. Okay, so I am currently in the process of writing a book where I outline 25 to 26 different laws of health that can empower you. And as you come to understand and learn what these laws are, you get to be in charge. You get to be in control. You get to live a life in a body full of health and vitality and energy and strength and peace and bliss once again, instead of have to think and buy into the ridiculous misnomer that you're a victim to any of it, because you're not a victim. So this course that I've created is called Learn the Laws of Health. That's why it can be found at janetthurgood.com/learn. Once you go there, there will be a little webinar where you can watch a presentation on why I put that program together and who it's for, and it's not going to be available for very much longer. There's quite a few really amazing bonuses on that page that you can take advantage of up until the end of this weekend. So you have just a little bit of time to go and review that content and that material, and then it will be taken down. It won't be available at that level anymore. So this is a place where you're going to be able to also learn probably an additional 15 to 20 additional laws of the soul So laws about that govern your soul's path and that govern your soul's purpose and that govern your higher self. So once you come to understand those laws even, you become a much more powerful creator in the universe. And it's a really beautiful, joyful, blissful, amazing way to live your life. I think that this is the direction that God wants us to go. He wants us to be educated. He wants us to expand our learning, expand our knowledge, stepping more into light and truth instead of buying into these crazy, ridiculous lies that we have for generations have bought into, the fact that we're victims. We're not. You're not a victim. But I guarantee you, you go into any kind of Western medical practice and they're going to kind of make you feel like you are. And that you don't have much power and much control over this stuff. So here, take this drug or this surgery and we'll fix you. You have more power than you've been led to believe. Much more power than that. And I would love to continue this journey with you. One of the amazing bonuses that will be offered to you guys on a short period of time, this is going to go away. When this 5-day anxiety release challenge is taken down and it goes away, I don't know if I'll be doing this again or when. I don't know that I will be doing it again because it's been an amazing experience, but really difficult for me the more busy that I get in my practice, so in my coaching practice. Now, those of you who want access to coaching with me personally, what you need to do, you're not going to find information on that on the other side of this, on that page that I gave you, that website. You need to private message me if you're interested in having me take you through this process one-on-one, doing person-to-person coaching, because that is what I do for a living, and a lot of people have questions about how to get involved in that, and you just need to reach out to me privately, and I can hook you up. We can jump on a call even, and just kind of talk a little bit more about what that entails and how it all works. Let's see. Does anybody have questions before we end this last of the 5-day anxiety release challenge? Do you guys have questions about what we discussed today as far as breaking free from these patterns, learning how to release and clear these blockages that stand in your way, learning how to deal with the ego? Do you guys have questions about any of that before I set you free? It's been really fun to interact with you guys and see some of the interesting and amazing transformations that have already come. I've had a lot of you guys private messaging me already about what you've experienced inside of this group, and some of you have come through both of the 5-day anxiety release challenges. You started with me back in October, and so you've had kind of an interesting experience with this stuff. So I thank you for the feedback. I thank you for participating. It's been really, really fun to get to connect with you guys. Hey, Tina. Tina says, how long did it take you to learn all of this stuff? I don't even want to say, because I've spent pretty much my whole lifetime learning this stuff. I am one of those people who spends anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week studying and learning. It's a passion of mine, and it drives me, and I can't get enough. And so I devour books, I devour courses. I have hired my own private coaches to help coach and mentor me. I've taken certification processes, multiple different modalities of healing, from massage therapy to EFT to, which is the tapping, to the emotion code and body code and some of the other tools. And so what I do personally when I coach with people one-on-one, I kind of just grab into the big giant grab bag of tools that I've learned over the years, and it's a very intuitive process. It's kind of hard to describe. A lot of people have said to me, I want to learn what you're doing. I want to do what you do. And to be honest, I don't know how I would teach somebody how to replicate or duplicate that, because I can't even tell you how many thousands of books I've read, or maybe hundreds, I guess, of books that I've read on this, courses that I've taken, mentors that I've hired. Different people have contributed to me in so many different ways, and so my process is highly intuitive. And also I've been mentored and coached by the spirit dimension as well. And so a lot of the information that I do when I work with people one-on-one has come from that. And so I'm constantly learning. I do believe that in the arena of self-healing, spontaneous healing, and learning the laws of health, there is so much knowledge and light and truth that's coming to the world right now in this arena that you can't just read a few books, take a few courses, and be done. Because it's constantly evolving. The technology is so rapidly changing that what I did when I first became a practitioner is vastly different compared to what I do now as a practitioner after 10 years of learning and growth and continuing on in this process of working with people and working in the spirit dimension and working with all of these different tools and learning more tools. So it's really difficult to say how long it took me to learn a lot of this stuff. Some of it I came here with. Some of it has taken me an entire lifetime to develop and learn. But, I've learned the most actually over the last 10 years as I've worked with people specifically with anxiety and depression. And the way that I learned it was by working with people and observing patterns, like similarities and things. I worked with hundreds of people, mostly women, some men, but hundreds of people over the years that have dealt with anxiety and depression. And as I've worked with these people, I've noticed that almost across the board, I was saying the exact same things all day. I would say the same things would come up, same topics would come up, same problems. Like I'd have one person come in here and sit on my couch, and I'd be talking to the next person after that on the phone, and almost have the identical conversation with person number 2 than I did with person number 1. So observing patterns, I guess, observing that we're not alone. We're not, your anxiety is unique to you, but it's a lot less unique than you think it is. And that there are specific reasons why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. And a lot of that can be remedied by just coming to understand some literal laws of the universe. How the universe works, how you work, who you are, where you came from, and what you're here to do. So that's the long answer. That was kind of a long answer. Yes, anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week I spend learning and studying. I do it in my free time. I get up early in the morning. I cannot get enough. And sometimes I'll get up at 2 or 3 in the morning if I can't sleep, and I'll just learn and learn and learn and learn. Did you get sick? Did your getting sick put you in this direction? Absolutely, Marlene. Absolutely. Yeah, had I not had the health challenges that I had for 25 years over the course of my life and been so discouraged by that process, I wouldn't have continued searching. Had I gotten the perfect health that I have today, not perfect, but had I gotten the kind of health that I have today out of just taking a bunch of herbs and essential oils, I would have been done at that point. I wouldn't have kept looking or searching or digging or, I was desperate. And my husband was desperate. He was sick and tired of living with someone who couldn't function. We had 6 kids. I have no idea how I did that. We adopted one later. I have no idea how we did that. I really don't. I don't even remember half of it. But at the same time, a huge burden was placed on him and on the kids to run a household, because there were lots and lots and lots of days when I couldn't get up and out of bed. So it was really, I went through a lot of years of a living hell, literally unable to function. Yeah, very discouraging, very depressing. And that was really where the anxiety and depression kicked in, was when a person begins to start to feel very helpless and hopeless. That's not a very good place to be, and that's when anxiety has a tendency to step in. And you'll find most people who have anxiety also have a touch of depression. Most people who have depression also have a touch of anxiety. I had both. Both. Gina, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad all of you guys are here. It's been so much fun for me to get to travel this road with you. One of the most powerful lessons is to learn your soul path and to learn that you're divine, and to come to grasp and understand your true divinity. It's probably the most important discovery that you will ever make in your lifetime, because when you discover who you are, you discover who God is at the same time, because you're one. You're one with God. You really are. And that's a very powerful discovery to make. It's probably the most important discovery you ever will make. And so I learned that now. I wished that somebody had come to me back when I was in the thick of it. I wish that somebody would have said to me, you know, to make the investment in myself. For a lot of years, I had opportunities to coach with people. I had opportunities to learn this earlier and to take advantage of my own healing journey and take it farther faster. But I waited, and do you know why I waited? Because I kept telling myself, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. And you know, basically that was telling myself, I'm not worth it. And for me personally, I got to the point where my 2 autoimmune illnesses had pretty much eaten my adrenal glands alive. And I had adrenal failure. My body shut down. I went into shock and left the body and had an out-of-body experience. And that experience showed me some things that I will never forget. I will never be the same after that experience. And I spent the next several years and months trying to come back to that person, that version of me, that healthy, beautiful, intelligent, wise, full of life, full of energy, full of vitality me. I spent the next few months trying to reclaim that part of myself. Because when I stepped out of the body, I stepped into the awareness of who I really was. And that was a very powerful experience for me, something that changed me. So Patricia says, timing is perfect though. Nothing happens before it's time. Yes, I agree. I do agree with that, Patricia. Thank you for sharing that. I really do believe God's timing is always perfect. And He knows what's best. He knows your higher self, and He knows your higher self better than you know your higher self. And so He's going to nudge you and direct you and guide you in that direction. But you know, you can tap into that too, just as easily as He's tapped into who you really are. Anyway, it comes down to this: Are you willing to invest the time and the resources and the money into learning this and taking this a step farther? And if you trust me, then I can take you by the hand and show you what I've learned as a result of these laws and this process. If you guys want more information, you know where to get it. Just follow that link that I gave you earlier. It's pinned to the top of this group. You can follow that. There will be a little blue button where you can take it further if that's something that you feel inclined to do. Just remember that this opportunity will go down at midnight on Sunday, and then it won't be available anymore. So, and again, I don't know if I am going to be doing the 5-day anxiety release challenge again. It's been a wonderful journey and an amazing experience. But as I get busier as a practitioner, it limits my ability to do these kinds of things with you guys. So please do take advantage if you feel like you could get some benefit from this. I would absolutely love to take you by the hand. Now, you have 2 options, actually. You can either coach with me one-on-one, or you can take advantage of the opportunity that I just gave you the link to. So it's up to you. You guys decide how you want to do that. You know that I'm always available inside of this group, and you can private message me anytime you feel the need. So if you guys have any more questions, go ahead and ask them into the chat box, and I will get back to your questions just as soon as I possibly can. I'll try to monitor the feed on here and keep you guys up to speed. And then in the meantime, continue watching the replays, get as much out of this stuff as you possibly can, and be sure to watch me over on my Facebook page where I try to go live every day. It's been a little bit hairy this last week. We've had some challenges at our house, so I just haven't been up there over the last few days. But I am committed to jumping on there again and teaching you guys more stuff, so watch for those as well. And I love you guys. See ya. Bye. Have a great day.